G3000 Installation Manual. Follow these steps to install the G3000 3-head fertigation system. First step is to unpack the system and lay out all the components. Next, mount the controller on the wall above where you will place the pump unit. Next, fill the pump with the oil included. The pump has 3 oil caps on the top of the pump body. Remove the 3 oil caps. Pour half of the big bottle in any 2 oil fill openings, and the other half in any other oil opening. Then pour the small bottle in the 3rd oil opening, and put the caps on all 3 openings. All 3 openings connect to the oil chamber so the oil level will be correct by adding all the oil in the 2 bottles. Next, place the pump on the ground near where it will be used. Maybe a foot out to give you room to work on the back side of the pump. Next, install the 3 discharge fittings on each head. Thread the clamping nut onto the pump valve and hand tighten only. Point the hose fitting to where the discharge hose will come from. The discharge fittings have O-ring seals to seal, so no sealer or tape is needed. Only hand tighten. Next, install the suction fittings the same and point then to the hose direction from the tanks. Hand tighten only as well. Next, clip the motor conduit from around the controller, and open the wire connection box on the side of the motor, and place the screw and cover in a safe place. Then pull the red, black, white, and green wires out of the box. Next, run the motor cable wires into the connection box through the cable fitting on the side of the box, and pull the 4 wires through the fitting and out of the box. Next, connect each of the 4 wires to the 4 wires from the motor. Connect red wire to red wire with the yellow wire nut, and the black wire to black wire, the white wire to white wire and the green wire to green wire. Next, tuck and push the 4 sets of wires into the wire box and install the cover with the 4 screws and you are finished connecting the motor to the controller. Next, install the 3 injection valves in the pump station discharge line. The injection valves are 1/2 inch and you may need bushings if the ports on the pipe are larger. Use the blue thread sealer to include it with the fittings box to seal the threads. The injection valve hose fittings should point down, so you can connect the hose and run the hose down to the ground, and to the pump. Next, you will install the discharge hose from the pump heads to the injection valves. The discharge hose at 1/2 inch. You will use the small hose clamps to secure the hose. First, slide the hose clamp on the hose and then push the hose on the discharge fitting as you support the fitting. Push the hose on all the way and then slide the clamp in place and tighten with the socket screwdriver, included. Tighten well. Next, run the hose to the injection valve the best way, and up to the injection valve and leave some slack for the hose when you cut it. Next, put the clamp on the hose and push the hose on the injection hose fitting as you support it. Push it on all the way and move the clamp in place and tighten well. Do this for all 3 discharge hoses. Then use the cable ties included to bundle the discharge hoses together and you are finished installing the discharge hoses. Next, you will install the suction hoses and lines. The suction hose is 3/4 inch hose. There is a suction manifold and 3 Y strainers to install in each line. First, place the suction manifold on the ground where you want it. Then, starting with one head, connect the hose with a hose on it to the suction fitting. Push the hose on all the way as you support it. Then tighten the clamp well. Then run the hose to the manifold, but you will install the Y strainer in between the pump and the manifold. Cut hose and install the Y strainer the same way with the clamp. Then run the hose to the manifold and connect it the same way with the clamp. Do the same for each of 3 suction hoses from the pump to the manifold with the Y strainer in between. Do it as shown in the photo. Then run each hose to each tank. A 1/2 inch tank valve is included to connect to the tank, but you may need bushings to fit the tank connection. We included tank valves as well. We included 3 camlock fittings to use if you prefer using tote tanks. Everything uses the 3/4 hose and fittings. Now you can put the pump in the proper place and tie all the hoses down with cable ties to secure them. Next, you will connect the flow sensor cable. I assume you have an existing flow sensor cable from a previous fertigation system or have a Data Industrial 220B flow sensor on the pump station. If you have a flow sensor cable from a previous fertigation system, you will connect the cable and conduit to our cable. Connect red wire to our red wire and the black to our black wire. Then run the conduit to our controller and run the cable through the opening on the bottom right and into the enclosure. Connect to the lever terminal, red wire to red wire and black to black wires on the lever terminal. Then place the lever terminal back on the enclosure Velcro. If you don't have a flow sensor cable, but do have a Data Industrial 220B flow sensor installed on the pump station, you will need to splice into the red and black flow sensor wires, and connect to the cable in the conduit we included. Then run the cable to our controller the same way. Then you are finished connecting the flow sensor. The next step will be to run a system test. Before you pressurize the irrigation, you need to first plug in the power cord for the controller and set the mode to manual and turn the power on. The pump motor should run in manual. Next, switch the mode to auto and pressurize the irrigation and run water, and watch the motor to see it turn and run in with irrigation water flow. If that runs the pump, then check the pump station flow display to make sure it is working properly. If that checks OK, it confirms the flow sensor connection is good and you are ready to fertigate. Next, calculate the pump rate setting using the QR code and the YouTube calculator program. Set the rate of each pump head. Next, prime each pump head by opening the tank valves to get fertilizer to the pump and open the bleed valve to get fertilizer out the bleed tube. Then close the bleed valve. Next, mark the tank level on each tank and you are ready to fertigate. Here is a page that shows how to scale the tanks and know how many gallons per inch of fertilizer. Next, run a fertigation cycle and check the tank level to determine if you hit the target fertilizer amount you wanted to inject. Now you are ready to continue fertigating. Call me if you have any questions. 713-504-0750 Michael Chaplinsky Turf Feeding Systems.